at jessthebuzz@gmail.com. The Buzz with Jess Lujan.
Good evening, Guam. I'm Jess Lujan. Welcome to this edition of The Buzz, the fourth and final segment with our discussion with the Department of Labor. I have, of course, the Director of the Department of Labor, Dr. Sam Mabini, former Senator. Good evening.
Good evening, Jesse.
And I have Jeffrey Sablan, who's the Administrator for Compliance, the Employment Practice, or Fair Employment Practice Office, right? Yeah,
that's correct.
Well, welcome. Thank you very much
for
being
having
here.
us.
Fair employment, yeah, we've not as often, but we hear it. You probably hear it more than we do in the public in regards to fair employment. What exactly does the fair employment mean? Is it just because people are getting paid under the table, not quite minimum wage, or things of that nature? What does that mean, fair employment?
Well, basically, fair employment is like an EEOC relationship with the employers and employees.
Okay.
How we deal with that at the Department of Labor is that we have a work sharing agreement with US EEOC, and what we do is we investigate discrimination based on Title VII, sex, religion, national origin, race, and then also the other compliances components, which is American with Disability, Equal Pay Act, or the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act. So these compliances fall under our department in terms of the work sharing agreement with US EEOC. And how we do this is we do investigations based on the complaint that's coming into our office, and we vigorously take the information that is collected from the potential charging party, and we start the process. The process is basically free, it's neutral. We take the complaint. Once we take the complaint and determine the basis of the complaint, we initiate the investigation. Then as a result of our findings, we determine whether it's a reasonable cause or no cause. Now, the jurisdiction for our department is strictly on island. We don't take no class action lawsuits as a result of the work sharing agreement with US EEOC. And, upon the findings of our conclusions, it could be challenged, with the potential charging party or the respondents through a standard weight review, or go to a litigation, which is to the courts.
Okay. Now, Director, let me ask you this, because I mean, I understand maybe basically the non-compliance on the employer side, but what happens if a potential employee, okay? I mean, we've talked about this in the past in regards to our government, not just the Guam government, but the federal government in general. It's got great safety nets for people, but it can't seem to get people off these safety nets. Not very good at it anyway. So when folks are in subsidized living, whatever, homes or food stamps, whatever it may be, they can only earn so much, okay? And then they go through a certain, they rise to a certain level. Maybe it starts to diminish, or even they're unable to avail themselves to benefits anymore. And at times they go through these potential employers and say, I want to work, but can you pay me under the table? Can you pay me under the table, because I'll lose my benefits in that? And because they need employers, employers sometimes succumb to that. And then later on, when there's a they didn't pay me one time, I'm going to report my employer to this. How do you balance that? Because you have a situation here, again, where we're not very good at getting people off these lines.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you asked that question, because within the department, other than the department where Jeff works at, we have other compliance offices. We have compliances that deal with wage and hour, which is probably where that issue would be addressed by that group. We also have workman's compensation. We also have OSHA consultation, as well as mine safety consultation. So those are other departments. Now, your question is multi-pronged. So we have an issue where we have individuals who are challenged to make money and or make a living, and so therefore they do receive or apply and receive, and should they qualify, some subsidies to support them, whether it's housing or to feed their family. And the question that you're raising as far as the under the table payment. Now, in the history of just not the United States, there's always this, I'm going to cut your grass, you know, those little jobs here and there. And yes, those occur. But the concern that we have, and that's why we do labor clinics at the Department of Labor, is to inform not only employers but people in general what their rights are. Maybe they didn't realize that by doing that, they're now outside of the realm of the, you know, the employer-employee relationship per se. So, you know, depending on the situation, something like that would probably be raised over at the wage and hour. Of course, the who would be in trouble would be a combination. Well, the employer, because they are, you know, they are the benefits that the person may be entitled to, like Social Security, whatnot, are now not being availed. So who really does get hurt? It's the wage earner. And that's why the compliance departments exist, is to protect the wage earners and also to help educate the employees, employers, so that they better understand how they can better run their business, not get into any non-compliance. So I encourage employers to always look at our website, look at the what labor clinics are available. We have that every month. They can sign up. It's free. They can learn about all the policies that that Jeff addresses. They could even learn about, let's say, foreign labor issues or wage and hour and so forth. And those are really important for small businesses because many of them don't have human resources departments where they don't have an HR administrator who knows all the rules and regulations. So what better way to get educated and to learn is by coming to the Department of Labor, not fearing us to because we're compliant, but looking at us as partners to help them succeed, because it is complex. All of the rules and regulations that Jeff understands, or that Mr. Massey understands from the ALPCD office, or the other departments, very complex. I don't have all the answers. You know, I am the director, but I have these specialists, these administrators who know the rules. They have been doing a lot of outreach, and I wanted, you know, to share that Jeff and his team has been very effective in doing some outreach efforts in helping employers understand what they can or cannot do, should or should not do rather.
So Jeff, what are the major issues that people come to you about, employees come to you about in regards to their work setting?
Yeah, typically when we get a potential charging party, when they come into our doors, typically they will ask questions in relation to wage or even employment discrimination. Because we don't have jurisdiction under the wage, department, we you know, advise them to seek the guidance and assistance with wage and hour. One of the things that we also encounter a lot is basically discrimination based on national origins. Now, the difference between national origins and race are two separate classifications in terms of ELC's definition. Now, what we do is we just try to educate the individual in terms of what their charges of discrimination is. We provide them materials, information, and you know, once they determine exactly what the nature of the offense is, then they'll let us know exactly what the turn of events happen at the employer.
Now let me ask you this: how do you deal with this when, you know, looks like we're getting ready? I think a year from now or something. I think another minimum wage increase. How do you deal with a minimum wage increase when it goes maybe even to smaller companies, when, you know, a new employee, just because he or she is new, is going to get this minimum wage, right? But an employee that's been there for a while, and say maybe now you know, will be making the same as that new employee. So how do you deal with, again, having them have their salaries raised proportionately to do that? You know, they're making now, it took me 9 years or 8 years to make $9 or $8, whatever it may be, and this person just coming in, his only specialty is just, I'm new, and therefore I'm going to make what I worked 8 years to make. So how do you deal with that when somebody brings that in and says, hey, they're discriminating against me because now this person, their expertise is just, they're brand new, but I've worked so hard for this and I'm still making the same amount of wage. So how do you work with employees to increase them proportionally to that minimum wage?
Yeah, you know, with our department, in terms of the disparity in terms of wage, you know, that's something that you know, we try to look at as far as guidance in terms of what the individual is seeking. Now, as far as the disparity in terms of where the individual is at in terms, as far as the thresholds and where their employment, their current wage is at right now, you know, we don't have the information in terms of where we at as far as fair employment to advise them. What we do is we send them to either Wage and Hour on our local department, or send them down to the U.S. Department of Labor, which is just located at the District Court of Law.
How about when you talk about company benefits? They've received all this, and all of a sudden you have benefits that are taken down. So maybe medical benefits have been taken down. Well, we already knocked your hours down, but we knocked it down to the sense where you can still avail yourself the benefits. And then the next round is we've taken away your benefits. But I tell you what, we'll answer that as soon as we come back from break. Okay? Be right back.